Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am glad to be here. It's been like 10 days since I've done anything on YouTube, which just feels strange, but I'm glad to be back. What I'm not glad about is that we are talking about another victim, this one 52-year-old Deanne Warner. Now, this is about a 3.5-year-old case, and it's not a case that I've covered on this channel at all. I have not been aware of the whole thing. I have done a lot of research starting with last night and throughout the day today as I have had time, the several hours before I started work today. But anyway, I think the best thing to do here is to go through the case just so we're all on the same page and we understand what's going on, but not to bury the lead. What has happened over the last 48 hours is human remains. See, Ms. Warner has been missing since April 25th, 2021. Missing. Presumed dead, legally declared dead, but she had never been found. And about 48 hours ago, maybe less than that, human remains were found on property belonging to her husband, Dale Warner. Dale Warner, he has been charged in her murder. They were proceeding with a murder trial without a body, which is challenging. But they believed that they had enough. And in fact, guys, we're going to get into this. But his preliminary hearing was 3 days long. 3 days. And I've been to a few preliminary hearings in my day. None of them have ever lasted 3 days. And a preliminary hearing, if you guys don't know, is basically you're convincing a lower court judge that there's enough probable cause to hold that person for trial. 3 days that lasted. So much testimony, so much stuff. So let's start out over here. We're gonna go through a quick timeline, maybe learn a little bit about our victim here. And I have to say, not a lot is out there about her personally. We don't know much about her. We know that she was 52 years old. We know that she was 5'4", about 140 pounds. She was a white female, brown hair with blonde highlights, green eyes. We know that she had 5 children, one of which at the time of her disappearance was only 9 years old, and to this day is only 12 years old. The other 3 children appeared to be from a previous marriage. I don't know that for certain, but I believe they're from a previous marriage, and all 3 of them are adults. Dee ran her own logistics and trucking company, and then she had a farm business as well. She's married to Dale Warner. Okay, that's pretty much what I've been able to find out about her. There are some interviews, and I'm going to show some video here in just a little bit from her brother, who has been a champion in this case. Her brother has been really pushing things along, and I'm not saying that authorities did not want to solve this case or that they weren't working on the case. They probably were, and the nature of their work is to do so without letting people know, right? But her brother, Deanne Warner's brother, is a real hero in all this, has been pushing hard for investigation into his sister's disappearance and he believes murder. Okay. So this is what happened. Dee Warner, her name is Deanne Warner. She goes by Dee. She was last seen in the early morning hours of April 25th, 2021 at her residence on Munger Road in Franklin Township, Lenawee County, or however you say that, Michigan. I looked up to see where that is. Let me head over to the maps view real quick. Okay, so maybe start here. Okay, this is the state of Michigan. You guys see this little box down here in the corner? That is the county in which she lives. That is right on the southern border of the state of Michigan before it goes down into Ohio and Indiana. All right, so we can zoom up on this and just that this is the area that we are talking about. And then inside that box is another teeny tiny little box right here. That is the township. Okay, so it's kind of right in the middle. There's an area called Tipton Township, and then there's the area called Franklin Township. I believe that she was in Franklin Township. It's been reported both ways. Okay, so since her disappearance in the early morning hours of April 25th, 2021, there has been bupkis as far as any digital activity, any forensically traceable activity of Deanne Warner. So nothing on her social media, no texts, no calls. Her phone has been inactive. In fact, she was never even seen. They have cameras at the property. They were never seen on camera leaving the property. This, of course, is the home that she shared with her husband. And we understand, and her passport hasn't been used. She hasn't traveled anywhere. And this is important because later her husband argues that she probably left the country. But anyway, there's nothing. She has done nothing. And then I put in this quote. This was Sheriff Troy Bevier, who said, obviously, as time goes on, we're more and more concerned about her safety as Mother's Day passed and she wasn't around and didn't make contact with anybody. So, I mean, obviously, this is a mother of 4, one of whom is 9 years old. She's not going to disappear. It would be so out of character for any mom to disappear and not be in contact with her children, right? Okay, so this is what happened. Dee's friend says that she saw her drop off her daughter on the 25th. And then court documents said that she told her friend that she was going to meet with her husband, Dale Warner. Now, this was a tumultuous relationship. We'll hear from her brother in just a minute. He didn't recognize the signs at the time, but this was a tumultuous relationship. In fact, if we go over to the Charlie Project, give me just a second. Let me read you what the Charlie Project had to say about this real quick, okay? Let me bring you over to Acrobat. Okay, so she's from Tipton, Michigan, but not in Tipton Township. Again, if we go over to the maps real quick, this intersection, I have to click over here. Give me a second. This intersection of Tipton Highway and looks like State Route 50, that is the area that she lived in. Okay. All right. So where am I at? There we are. All right. Dee was last seen at her home, Munger Road, Tipton, Michigan, in the early morning hours of April 25th, 2021. The evening before, she, her husband, and 1 or 2 of their employees got into an argument. Her husband later called it the worst argument of his life. Her husband, Dale Warner, said he left the house at 6:30 a.m. on the 25th. So they're saying that, the night before they had this big argument. So on the April 25th, 6:30 a.m., he says he left the time, and when he left, Dee was asleep on the couch. When he came back home, she was gone. She has never been heard from again. She left all the family vehicles behind, and since her disappearance, there's been no activity on her cell phone, bank account, or credit cards. Dee ran her own trucking company and agricultural business at the time of her disappearance. She had 4 adult children and 1 9-year-old daughter. Have I been saying that wrong? She had 5 children, 4 adults, 1 9-year-old daughter. I think I said 3 adults. I'm sorry about that. Okay, her loved one stated her marriage was extremely troubled. Dale allegedly stalked her, put a tracking device on her car. You guys have been watching the channel. Is this behavior that you recognize, right? We call this coercive control, right? And there had been episodes of domestic, we'll call it DV, and Dee wanted a divorce. So I think when she talked to her friend, she was going to meet with her husband probably to talk about divorce. All right. The day before her disappearance, she went to an eyelash appointment. Her esthetician stated she was crying when she arrived, upset about a disagreement with Dale. She did, however, schedule another appointment at the end of her session, indicating she had no plans to leave the area anytime soon. Her property had security cameras, but Dee was not seen on any of them at any time after April 24. Her passport, cell phone have not been used. She hasn't had any contact with anybody by email, phone, text, or social media. Her family doesn't believe she would have simply walked out of her life and abandoned her family over her marriage problems. And then we'll get into the rest, okay? All right, so that's what the Charlie Project's page has to say about it. Okay, getting back over here. So, where were we? She was going to meet her husband, Dale. All right, family and friends. So this would have been the 24th, probably, right? Not the 25th. I guess I put that wrong. Family and friends worked with police in the following days to find the missing woman. They searched wooded areas and properties near the family home. There is video footage of them using ground penetrating radar or sonar. I'm not sure which one. But man, they searched everywhere, high and low throughout the entire community. This is not a big place, guys. This reminds me of the kind of place that I live in, where everybody knows your name, right? If we go back over to the maps view, let's just take a look at the like a satellite view, right? No, this is very rural, right? We got a couple churches, we've got some businesses, we've got some houses. This is a rural area, the whole area. And we're going to get into a video where her brother and a private investigator speaks. This is a small place where everybody knows everybody. By the way, I haven't been watching the chat. If you guys want me to see anything in the chat room, I'm sure Autumn has already told you guys this, because Autumn and Jamie are awesome. Let me see if she has. Of course she has. Look, oh my goodness, look at this. Autumn knows what's up. If you want to get my attention, put GF in your comment, okay? And that will help me find it. All right, so this is a small place. Small place. All right, going back over to the presentation. So they're searching everywhere. They can't find her anywhere. Okay. The following October, so we're near 6 months later, the county sheriff's department's like, you know what? I think probably we need some help on this one. So they bring in outside help. They bring in the state police. They bring in the FBI. They bring in the DNR. And I think probably they brought in the DNR because this is such a rural area. There was probably land that needed to be searched. They probably had resources to do that and expertise to do that, right? So March of 2022, there are new search warrants that are issued. So these are more searches of different places. These are outbuildings and homes and properties and barns, and they're looking all over the place. They describe it as scouring the county for her. They haven't found her. Now, her family, by this point, we're coming up on a year. These people are realistic. They're going, listen, our sister, aunt, mom, daughter, she's just not going to disappear. If she disappeared and she's been gone almost a year now, we think that she's dead. So we're going to offer a reward, $50,000 to anybody who can help find her remains at this point. And that's what they put out there. They don't want to find her. They want to find her remains. They're confident that she is dead. And then they hire a private investigator, a guy named Billy Little. Now, I think, let's see, we're getting there. I have a video that I want to show you, okay? Actually, I'm going to go ahead and show it right now because we're going to skip it if we don't. So let's go over to this video right here. This is a press conference. The man that you're looking at right here, oh man, I want to credit MLive, not just Live. This is MLive who published this video. This is a like a press conference in May of 2022. Okay, so it's now just been over a year. It's like 13 months, not quite 13 months. And they do this press conference. The man you're looking at here is Dee's brother, who I told you has been championing this. Man, I'm out of practice on YouTube here, guys. But we're also going to hear from private investigators. So let's Let me get over to the right spot here, and let's have a listen to this. It's like 3 minutes long.
This is about a wrong that needs to be gotten right.
Greg Hardy.
And it's a difficult position for our family because keep in mind that this is a close-knit community. We know all these people, including the person my sister was married to.
Doesn't even want to say her name.
Known them for a long time. So it's painful for us, me personally, and us as a family.
Guys, just watch the poise, man. Just watch it. He is poised. I think that this guy is a hero. The whole not all heroes wear capes thing. This is one of those heroes that doesn't wear capes. He is working hard to find his sister. He's poised. He's a good communicator. He's out there pushing to get justice for his sister. And I'm really impressed with this guy. Let me back up a few seconds. Here we go.
So it's painful for us, me personally, and us as a family, to have to do what we're doing.
Part of her escape plan was to purchase a lake house just down the road here. Right? She tried to do that without Dale knowing about it. So Dale found out about it.
I know it says this on the screen, but this is the private investigator the family hired to try to find Dee, right? He's investigating this. And I don't think that the family was like, you know what, the authorities aren't doing a good enough job, we're going to get a private investigator here. I just think that they were probably at the end of their rope. They're doing billboards, they're doing banners, they're doing everything they can to find her. And Billy's going to tell us a little bit about why he thinks, let me back up just a little bit, that Dee was murdered at this point.
House just down the road here. Right? She tried to do that without Dale knowing about it. Dale found out about it. Right? So she knew that this was going to end at some point, and she was trying to figure out how to get out of it safely. Right? But he was keeping tabs on her, like I shared with you last night. Tabs on all of her movements, on her financial stuff. She would try to do things to keep herself safe. It was just not possible in that relationship. So she tried to have an escape plan, and not to go to Mexico or Jamaica, an escape plan to go 5 miles down the road, right? Just to get out of that situation. And the fact that there had been a history of abuse, of violence.
Unfortunately, I didn't recognize it.
Look, he is so poised and so amazing, and having a hard time here.
When I could have. And my sister, in all fairness, was a very strong woman who didn't really want to admit this kind of a problem. I'm convinced of that now. I didn't know it then. I didn't have any idea. But I believe she was, as I've now learned about abused people in marriages, that they sometimes think they can fix it, try to fix it, are afraid to admit it, don't want the social impact of it. In her case, don't want the business impact of it. Left herself without anyone helping her in a very difficult situation. That didn't have to end this way. It could have ended a lot differently, but it didn't. This is a woman who wasn't a perfect woman, no different than any of us. She had a spicy personality. I always said that she could be in an argument with you today and be hugging you tomorrow. And that truly is her. But something has happened here that's dreadfully wrong, and somebody has to be responsible for it, and we think we know who that is. And so when we get to that point, and that actually takes place, that will be the justice point. But not till then. Not till then at all.
I am so impressed by people like this, like who can be patient enough and methodical enough that we're going to learn as we go through this process to make sure that they get justice for their loved one. I love that he called her spicy. She had a spicy personality. We have a daughter that I say what the whole sugar and spice and everything nice thing about little girls. We have a little girl that is she got no sugar. She only got spice, right? So it's like I can kind of see what he's talking about when he's talking about his sister. But what did we learn from that video? She was in an abusive relationship with her husband. They were he was tracking her movements, her financial moves. They were connected by the business from one another. So she was in a place where it was very difficult to get away. And the private investigator said she wasn't trying to go to Mexico. She wasn't trying to go to Jamaica. She was trying to buy a house 4 miles away. And that's how she was going to get away. Now, her brother, Greg, goes, we know everybody. This is a tight-knit little community. So, knowing that at this point, this is May 9th of 2022, that his sister is probably dead. They believe they know what happened to her. They just needed to find out how it happened to her, right? So they had offered that $50,000 reward to try to find her body. It didn't work. It didn't work. And Mr. Little apparently did very good work, but still nothing as far as a body. Okay. So by September of that year, make sure that I don't get ahead of myself. Yep. By September of that year, nobody's claimed the reward. Nobody has found her remains. And so the family makes a move to ask a judge to have Deanne Warner declared legally dead. Now, why would they do that? Well, there are a couple of things. There are a couple of reasons why they did that. Number one, they could move forward with a civil cause, a civil lawsuit alleging that basically a wrongful death, that he caused her death, and they could make it so that he is civilly responsible for that. Also, if the law recognizes that she is dead, they can move forward with criminal charges as well. And so they had hearing after hearing. It goes on for months and months and months. And during that entire time, Dale Warner, this guy who we see in this picture, he is saying, no, there's no way. She must have left. She must have just left. She wanted to go to Mexico. She wanted to go to Acapulco. Right? And they continue to make that argument, saying, like in April of 2023, we're now 2 years past, she just left. She had done it before. She'd left before. So that's definitely what happened here. Of course, Dee's family, they're not buying it. They are not buying it. And by that point, they actually confirmed publicly what we read on the Charlie Project. And that is that Dale and Dee got into a big argument before her disappearance. So the public's already like, fishy. This is fishy. But now everybody's kind of on board, right? Okay. Following month, Dee's family, probably led by Greg Hardy, they file a wrongful death lawsuit against Dale. She, I think at that point, hold on, I have to think about this. Maybe go back. Oh yeah. Okay. So they file a wrongful death lawsuit against Dale without the actual declaration by the court that she is dead. Now, why would they do this in May of 2023? My guess is that they were coming up against a statute of limitations. I don't know what the statute of limitations is there in Michigan. It's usually about 3 years. So I think they were just kind of getting the ball rolling. Maybe Dale was starting to sell some of the things that belong to both of them as part of their marital estate. And they're like, we want to put a stop to this. So they file a wrongful death lawsuit against Dale. Dale is ordered. You may not liquidate anything. You may not sell anything. But by that September, he was caught selling stuff. Now, it might be that he's like, dude, I got to make a living, so I got to sell some of this stuff. But the court's like, nay, nay, and they hold him in contempt of court for making those sales. And then in November, let's see, man, I skipped a PDF I wanted to show you guys, but it's okay. In November, Dee is finally legally declared dead by the court, and at that point, authorities charge him with murder. Now let's go over to Acrobat again. We're going to skip, I don't know. No, let's go back to it. It's okay if we don't do a perfect chronology here. This is a great article from CBS News. Family asked judge to declare Dee Warner legally dead. So Michigan State Police detective told Lenawee County Court Wednesday that his agency is investigating Dale Warner as a suspect in the disappearance of his wife, Dee Warner, 52, who went missing more than 2 years ago. Detective Drew Yor testified that the family filed a petition asking the judge to consider whether Dee Warner can be legally declared dead. The judge is expected to rule on the case in a hearing scheduled next month. It took way longer than that. And then it goes on to tell, let's see. Yeah, Wednesday's hearing was the second hearing in the declaration of death case to determine whether Dee Warner should be declared dead. 2 witnesses, the detective and Dee Warner's daughter, Raquel Bach. By the way, Raquel's testimony at the preliminary hearing was pretty great. I'm not prepared to share it with you guys tonight because it's like an hour long, but it was great. They were called to testify. The detective says he reviewed personal documents of Dee's, including financial records, and found a sudden stop activity. In addition, he said there was a query run on Dee Warner in the law enforcement information network, and she was never found. So Dreyer said the evidence leads them to believe she did not leave voluntarily. Bach testified that her mother was in an extremely toxic relationship with her husband, Dale Warner. She believed he is connected to her disappearance. Quote, she would never leave my little sister. She would never leave us adult grown kids, especially her grandkids. My mom was very involved in our life. She never missed an opportunity, said Bach. If the judge rules to declare Dee Warner dead, the family plans to file a wrongful death lawsuit against Dale Warner. Quote, all the evidence suggests this isn't a voluntary missing person, said Todd Flood, an attorney representing the family in the case. There's nothing in any possible way, shape, or form that there is digital footprint, thumbprint of Dee alive. Dale Warner, who has denied any involvement in Dee Warner's disappearance, attended the hearing via Zoom because he and his associate were arrested and held in contempt court for not providing documents to the conservator of Dee Warner's estate. He was released from jail Wednesday after complying with the court's request, but did not attend the rest of the hearing in person. I believe my son Dale is innocent and all these accusations are lies, said Claire Michalek, Dale Warner's mother. This has been a one-sided deal all along. And then closing arguments, blah, blah, blah. This is, it's shocking to me. It's honestly shocking to me when families of suspects are presented with compelling evidence of a crime that their loved one has committed. It is always surprising to me that they will just automatically side with their loved one. Like, I hope I'm never in this situation, and I don't think I ever will be. It's just not in the nature of my children, right? But there I go. I was just doing what I was. I caught myself doing what these people do. It's maybe I would. Maybe I shouldn't be so shocked after all. Okay. That was the thing I was reading. Now, he was arrested. Let's jump to that. This is November of 2023. So what are we at? 9 months ago, okay? November 22nd, 2023. Here is a news release from the Michigan State Police. Arrest made in the disappearance of Dee Warner. Tipton Township, Lenawee County. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry, guys. On Tuesday, November 21st, 2023, Detectives from the Michigan State Police 1st District Special Investigations Section made an arrest in connection with the disappearance and murder of Dee Warner. Dale John Warner, 53 years old, of Tipton Township, was arrested at his home by MSP detectives. The arrest comes after approximately 1 year and 8 months of investigation by the MSP 1st District Investigations Section. After hundreds of investigative hours by MSP detectives and working closely with the Lenawee County Prosecutor's Office, charges were issued against Dale Warner for open murder and tampering with evidence. By the way, I contacted the court today, and I talked with a delightful staff member of the court clerk. I don't know if it was the court clerk or an assistant or whatever. She was wonderful. She was polite. She was terrific. But she was unable to provide me any court documents unless I went in person and paid $4. I couldn't like Venmo, PayPal, credit card, debit card. I couldn't do any of that. I had to go in person with cash money, give them $4, and then they could physically print off and give me the records. It was funny because she's like, I don't know how many pages these are that I would have to charge you for it. Let me print them. So she prints them. We wait for the printer to do it. And then she counts them and goes, yeah, it'll be $4. I'm like, wait, you just printed them. Can't you email them to me? But anyway, I wanted to get those documents for you guys, but I was unable to do so. So this is the best I got. All right. I don't know what open murder means. It probably means that they have not graded the murder. It's probably not murder 1 or 2 yet at this point. Anyway, Dee Warner's body is yet to be found. Again, this is back in November. She has been missing since April of 21. Quote, working a no-body homicide brings on unique challenges. The detectives on this case have done a phenomenal job with the investigation and working collaboratively with the Lenawee County prosecutor, said Detective First Lieutenant Michael Dillon, commander of the 1st District Special Investigative Section. Quote, I have the utmost confidence in this case moving forward. Dale Warner was arraigned this morning on a charge of open murder. His bond was set at $20 million. I do not think he is getting out of the Hooskow. A hearing on Warner's bond is scheduled for the 27th, and then a whole bunch of other stuff about how proud they are that they've put it all together. There is an article from the Toledo Blade. A Tecumseh, Michigan area man was formally arraigned Wednesday morning on an open murder charge related to his wife's April 2021 disappearance and presumed death. Dale Warner, 55, I think he was 53, appeared by video and was charged not only with the murder of Deanne Warner, but also tampering with evidence regarding her disappearance. Laura Shadler, the district court's chief judge, who also appeared by video to conduct the arraignment, set a bond hearing for 11 a.m. and a probable cause hearing for November 29th. That did not happen until the following May. We'll get there. Okay, so, I don't think... Oh, I wanted to read this. The police have searched the Warner property and any other property related to him multiple times over the past 2.5 years. It belies the notion that there might still be more evidence to find. This is the lawyer, I think, right? Yeah, this is Mr. Warner's lawyer saying this. Judge Shadler countered that evidence as a way of surfacing at the most inopportune times, and she will not presume that all evidence has been brought forth. The judge also noted that the prosecutor's office was not represented at the arraignment to make the state's case regarding bond. Okay, and then it talks about a whole bunch of other stuff which we don't really need to get into. Let's get back over here. Okay. Let's see. So that's November 2023. He's charged with her murder. I need to get to the right spot. Okay. Next thing that happens is this past May, there's a 3-day preliminary hearing that takes place, and so many witnesses were called. They did 2 days in May and then continued it to June. So it was a total of 3 days of testimony. And again, the preliminary hearing, it's kind of, it's some states use the indictment process to establish if there is probable cause. Some states, like my state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we use this as well, where a lower court judge hears all the evidence that the prosecution has. The defense doesn't get a chance to, they can question the witnesses, but they don't really get a chance to present their case. It's just the prosecution presents their case through witness testimony to prove to the judge not about the guilt of the defendant, but that there is probable cause to move forward to trial. That's what happened in the preliminary hearing. It was 3 days long. Longest preliminary hearing I've ever been in is 1 full day that went an extra half hour, right? But this one, man, they called so many witnesses. And then nothing has happened. Nothing has happened until the 16th, when authorities found what they believe to be Dee Warner's remains welded into a tank that was kind of like this trailer tank on Dale Warner's property about 4 miles away from Dee's home. Now, as of right now, they know they have human remains, and an autopsy is scheduled for tomorrow. But from what we understand, the investigation is continuing, but they will have that autopsy. Now, if she has been in that tank for 2.5 years, it makes me wonder what condition is Dee's body in. But there's actually reason to be optimistic about that. And there are a couple of videos that I want to show you on that. Okay, first video I want to show you, and by the way, I've got kind of a picture. This came from Click to Detroit, of the barn that this was in. See where the door is closed there? So it's on the right-hand side of the screen. There's a closed door. The tank was in there, and it, is just lined up with other agricultural tanks. These tanks are used for, to spread chemicals on fields and stuff, like to fertilize and stuff like that. That's what these tanks are for. But they are the shape and size of like a large propane tank. It's under pressure. Anyway, it was parked in there, and these couple of videos are going to tell us a little bit more. So let me bring you to this video. This is from WTOL, and let's have a listen.
Michael, there have been dozens of searches throughout the area over the past 3.5 years. Foot searches, ground penetrating radar being used, and cadaver dogs, even a search in the property right across the road. But it was all leading to Friday's search, where in the barn behind me, police removed a tank.
So that tank is just up on like a flatbed tow truck. So in comparison to like a large truck cab, you can see kind of how big it is. Right. Again, if we kind of look at this is another view of that. It's big, and it's been the reason that it looks suspicious is it was recently repainted. Let's continue on.
Contained human remains that they believe to be Dee's. Greg Hardy, Dee's brother, says it was not a tip that was called in or a plea deal that led to this discovery. Rather, a collaborative effort between the family and their knowledge with the work of the Michigan State Police. During the search at this property on Paragon Road, police removed an anhydrous ammonia tank. These tanks are used to hold chemicals that are used as fertilizer for farms. I was told by family that this specific tank was noted as being different, due to being recently painted and appearing to be rewelded. A family spokesperson tells me the tank was removed, that the tank that was removed was x-rayed and showed that there was what appeared to be a human body inside, and a camera was put through one of the valves to confirm this. The family spokesperson says
that was one of my questions, right? Well, how? Because it's a sealed tank, right? But they used x-rays to get through the steel. Said, hey, that looks like human remains. And then in one of the valves, they put down like a little camera to look inside, and were able to see the remains. That's pretty good work.
To be empty of any chemicals. It is believed that the body should be well preserved due to the lack of oxygen or elements. Family and friends tell me that it's been a fight to get to this point.
Okay,
And the
that
community
answers my other question. So her body may have been in very good condition because it wasn't open to the elements and it probably didn't oxidize much, right? But think about this for a second, guys. To put a body in that tank, there is no opening. He would have had to cut it open, removed a portion of it, put her body in, put that portion back on, tack welded it up, weld all the way around it, paint it, put decals on it, make sure that it looks like every other trailer in the whole area. In fact, had he put ammonia, anhydrous ammonia on there, she probably would have been gone by now, but he left it empty, which I'm grateful for. Here we go.
effort has helped a lot, but they say there are a lot of emotions to figure out.
Well, it's been a huge roller coaster. A lot of emotion, all different kinds of ways. You know, the feeling of relief and a bit of feeling of anger.
I drove by that place probably at least hundreds of times, you know, and to know that we were just across the road with all those police, all of the, you know, they had all of the equipment, we had everything, and she was just across the road, you know. It's kind of mind-blowing, really, and kind of hard to process that.
The autopsy is scheduled for Tuesday, when the family is hoping to learn more information and find out a cause of death. The next fight for the family is getting a conviction in court. Reporting in Lenawee County, Megan Hartnett, WTOL.
Lenawee.
11.
I have to remember that. Lenawee County. Lenawee County. I have to remember that. It's been hard for me so far. Now, my question right now is, how are they going to determine cause and manner of death on this? Hopefully, her remains are in good enough condition that the soft tissues will be able to be examined, right? And be able to see things, or, you know, I guess I'm just hoping that there's enough evidence left that they can figure out what the manner of death is. I think finding somebody welded inside a tank and then concealed to make it look like it's just any other tank, I think that probably would persuade the medical examiner to go, yeah, this is a murder. That's what the cause of death is, definitely a homicide here. But the manner of death, I'm wondering if they're going to be able to determine that. Now, there's one other video I want to show you guys. It's this one right here. This comes from Click 2 Detroit. And again, Greg Hardy is in this one. Man, this guy is gritty. This guy is so good. And my kudos to him. I mean, I don't know that has no like meaning really. I mean, he has lost his sister, right? But he has just shown so much determination. I am impressed as all get out with this guy. All right, here we go.
You can only imagine what the family of Dee Warner has been going through, searching for her for years now. But tonight they're telling me exactly the location where they believe her body was hidden for all these years.
I wasn't here at the time that they removed the tank, but it was setting in here separate from these other tanks that are over here.
Greg Hardy says the presumed remains of his sister Dee Warner were found in an anhydrous tank just like this one, sealed in an airtight cylinder in the dark, potentially for years. Her husband, Dale Warner, is the man accused of placing her there.
In the dark of night, in a building that had no cameras, slide her body in there, put the end cap back on it, and weld it completely shut. And then attach that to a chassis, paint it, even have the gall to put his logo on it to make it look like it was normal, and then took it and stored it with other tanks so it would look like it was just another one of the fleet. That's so premeditated and so heinous that he deserves nothing less than murder one, no parole.
Dale Warner, so that is an astute observation, man. That goes to show premeditation. It goes to show consciousness of guilt. That whole going through the process of hiding her body should turn this open murder charge into a murder one charge.
He's already been charged with open murder.
He lied to his family and put them through all kinds of pain. He hid the evidence. He went to a lot of trouble to hide the evidence. He lied to the officials, the investigators, repeatedly.
As police work to 100% ID the body, one big worry is the well-being of Dee's youngest daughter, who's now 12 and has to grow up without her mother.
It's obviously been traumatic for her. She has a father in jail and a mother that's dead.
And Greg really was the man who pressured investigators to take a look at the tanks after noticing some unusual activity. We know that the autopsy will be happening this upcoming Tuesday, and if this is indeed ID'd as Dee's body, then that means it was located less than 4 miles from her home this entire time. Victor Williams, Local 4.
So, yeah, Greg Hardy, man, I'm so just proud of this guy, and the empathy and the sympathy that he has for Mr. Warner's family. Right? Again, this is a small community. They would all know each other. If he was from that area, that means they would know his parents, his siblings, if he has them. I don't know much about him, but they would know all these people. And he's like, hey, he has dragged all of them through this. He's not only hurt us, he's hurt them, right? So, I mean, this is a family that has been on a mission for justice for their sister, their mother, however they're related to her. And they have done very, very good work. So where we're standing right now is that the autopsy happens tomorrow. Now, once the autopsy is done, I'm sure that the investigators will know that day, right? They will be present for the autopsy. They will be talking with the pathologist. They will know what happened to her. If it's possible to know what happened to her, they're going to know it tomorrow. But we won't know it for quite some time, right? There will be an official report and there will be filings with the court and so forth. We won't know. But officials who are investigating it will, and I think that will move things quite along right along. And I wonder if this will cause Dale Warner to reconsider his position and maybe plead out this case rather than costing everybody, his daughter, his alleged victims, extended family, his own family. I wonder if rather than putting them through the pain of the trial, will he plead guilty to his wife's murder? I do not know. But while we have her picture up, let's go through a couple of comments here. Nifty 50, Gavin, why did the brother wait for 3 years to tell them the info that led to finding her body? I don't know, and I did not, Nifty 50, I didn't find anything on, are you talking about Greg Hardy? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about Dale's brother? I haven't found anything that talks about exactly what led authorities to that trailer, other than the video that we just watched, that it wasn't a plea deal, that it wasn't Dale Warner who led him to it. It was, him kind of moving the state police in the right direction. Maybe he didn't really figure it out until now. Or maybe he went into that barn for the first time and went, that looks kind of funny. That is freshly painted, or something like that. I don't know. I don't think that that Mr. Hardy was resting on his laurels, I guess is what I'm saying. I think he's been pushing this the whole time. Great question. Mooney, I believe they have a GoFundMe going as well. Yeah, I did not find the GoFundMe and I didn't prepare a link, but I will search it out. I'll put it in the description below. Jennifer, glad to see you back. Well, I'm glad to be back. Thank you, Jennifer. Would love to hear your thoughts on the Marcella Chittister case, or Chittister in Michigan. Pretrial is the 23rd of this month. Is there really any defense they can use? I will have to look into that. I have not been following that case. TMI Steph, Gavin, I just have to give you props for your reading speed. It's calming to listen in real time, but perfectly understandable at 1.5 speed. Good, good. Reading aloud is obviously much slower than reading in one's mind. But, Nifty 50, open murder is both first and second degree murder, and the jury makes the call on which one they think he's guilty of. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, he put the body in the tank exactly the way you thought he did. Yep. GF, the authorities need to create a new classification. Cause and manner of death, murder by husband. Yeah, unfortunately, that is something that happens all too often, right? Momo, I think Nifty 50, I think it was Nifty 50 answered your question. It's just the jury it's put to the jury what he's guilty of. Okay, yeah, Nifty 50 is now saying, I thought her brother knew, but I don't think he did until now. Yeah. All right. Let's see if there's anything else that you guys have said that that I should bring up here. It looks like murderers are getting inspired by Chris Watts' way of getting rid of bodies. Ooh, yeah, inside tanks. That's pretty ugly. Pretty ugly indeed. Lily says, hey, everyone, we've missed you, Gavin, and the mods. Yeah, sorry I've been gone. Guys, I don't want this to be a pity party, but this has been something else, man. My knee, it feels like the way it felt when I broke both my kneecaps. It is so painful. But I am starting to be able to get around pretty well now, and I'm glad to be back here on YouTube. I've spent most of my days over the last couple of weeks just with like ice packs on my knees, and I have gone through so much acetaminophen and ibuprofen. I just can't. I'm keeping the over-the-counter drug companies in business. Yeah, it's been tough. But that's enough of that. Glitter and Glam Gal says he remembered seeing him doing something with the tank at the time, thought it was weird, but nothing more until he spoke to detectives recently. They figured it out together. Okay. I guess that would be Greg, right? Yeah. So anyway, guys, I have made an alert for Deanne Warner. Let's bring her picture up here because she is the victim. I've made an alert for her so that I will follow the case. I will know what's happening as things kind of go along. And I think because of the national attention, we might know pretty soon if the remains are Deanne Warner's, but I don't know how soon we'll know manner of death. But stick with me. If you haven't subscribed and you like this kind of stuff, maybe consider doing that. Before I sign off, guys, let me just do a couple obligatory things, okay? One of the things that I'm really worried about is being able to walk while in London. I'm going to be in London next month for CrimeCon UK. In fact, if you go to my website and you click on events, you will see CrimeCon UK, which is my favorite show of the year. I personally would much rather go to London than go somewhere here in the States. So this is my third year in a row at CrimeCon UK. It's going to be a blast this year. I'm taking our middle daughter. She has not been abroad with me like the others have, so it is her turn. We're going to go to London. We'll probably do some other touristy things while we're there, but I'm looking forward to seeing folks. So if you have not purchased your tickets and you're going to CrimeCon UK, or if you're considering going to CrimeCon UK, just use code FISH at checkout. That'll save yourself 10%. By the way, I have been making little tchotchkes, little buttons to give away to people. This is my Crime Cod. I don't know if you guys have seen Crime Cod yet, but again, on my website, I have a newsletter that goes out most days. It's called Crime Cod, hooked on true crime. See what I did there? So if you'd like to subscribe to the newsletter, we've got a pretty big audience. I'm not going to lie. It's like 50 people right now. But I include kind of a quick note about what it is that I'm doing, some of the articles that I really think you ought to read, some of the YouTube videos that I think you should watch. So go to my website at gavinfish.com, click on Crime Cod, and enter in your information. Sign up for the newsletter. I don't spam. I don't sell any information. Also, if you click on this little fishy up in the corner here, that will take you to the fish tank. We are now 2,000 people strong. I saw it earlier today. It's exactly 2,000 people in the fish tank. And while I have been slightly MIA recently, members of the fish tank have not. They have been posting all sorts of stuff, and it's really, really quite fun to be a part of this. So if you're on Facebook and you like to be a part of true crime groups, we invite you to go over to the fish tank. Just search the fish tank or click on the little fishy on my website. Last thing, I promise. My mods are awesome. You guys know this. My mods are amazing. You guys know this. I don't even have to tell you this, but did you know that if you scroll down to the bottom of the support page and click on this button, you can buy my mods a cup of coffee. You know they don't get paid for this, they volunteer for this. And this is a way that you can support them. So I encourage you to go and take care of my mods. Guys, with that, I think that's all I need to say. I maybe hold this up while I say my ending spiel. Thank you very much for being here. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.